Okay, this may sound weird. Do any of y'all work where you are on call with a friend or family member? It's quiet, but you both have each other on call so that you hold each other accountable to stay focused on work. Yeah, they might be talking a little bit as I am filming, but I'm on mute. I think some people work better under pressure. Some people work better when they have folks who are there supporting them. But while I'm here serving this role, I thought I would just take a second and expand on something from earlier today. So I made a video that I ultimately took down after I had more information from people I respect, both Heather Cox Richardson and Tiffany Cross, who I have just like the utmost respect for. And by the way, I don't know how folks on TV can do it when their producer is yapping in their ear. I'm sorry, I'm doing the best I can. Anyway, so the comments on that second video were like, oh my gosh, somebody who isn't afraid to change their mind or admit that maybe they had a bad take or admit that they needed additional information or they changed their opinion when they got additional information. And I just wanted to talk about that for a second. I know that there is pressure on people, especially like folks on social media, to be right all of the time, to always have right opinions. And I think that causes people to double down a lot on their bad takes or just like imperfect takes. You know, like, sorry, we're all human, and I think there is so much pressure in this kind of a format, right? Social media, but in general, anybody who is freely giving their opinion in a public space, there's this perception that like you have to be flawless and you can't be a real human being. And like nobody is awesome all of the time and nobody is perfect all of the time. We're all deeply flawed. And I think for me, I come from a position where, especially when I was younger, I was really, really flawed. I had a lot of really, really wrong opinions. And not only do I have this perspective of like, I have been through really, really hard things. One of the reasons that I think we're going to work through what we're going through now is because I've gone through things that were personally worse for me. I'm not saying that what's happening to other individuals in this moment of time is not incredibly devastating. And I'm not playing some kind of like oppression or trauma Olympics at all. But what I mean is, in my own personal story, I have gone through things that I didn't think I would make it through, or that were significantly more traumatic. And I made it out the other side. And that gives me those like pieces of data, right? Inform my perspective now that like I'm gonna make it through this. We can make it through this. If younger me could have made it through that, then like we the American people can make it through this because we are so much stronger than I was back then. Likewise, I think because I have, I'm 46, so I still have a lot of growth and a lot of learning left to do. I've not arrived by any means, but I'm definitely look back at 17-year-old me or like 27-year-old me, and I'm like, thank God I am not her anymore. And because I have had the benefit of having come from a position where I had a lot of deeply, deeply wrong opinions, and my worldview was incredibly skewed, and I've had the privilege and the honor of being mentored by people and supported by people as I've deconstructed from a lot of that. And because I have this depth of experience here, anything I do now in the moment that's like profoundly human, profoundly flawed, if I'm not my best self, or if I just have like a honest mistake, or even have like a real shit opinion, like whether I am deciding not to be my best self and I'm doing something that I might not be proud of later, or like today where I just, I didn't have a great take. In either of those circumstances, I'm like, okay, I don't need to have my ego wrapped up in this. I don't need to be too proud to be like, yeah, my bad. Or sometimes it's not even my bad. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna change my mind on this. Because man, if I had been somebody whose ego was wrapped up in their need to be right all of the time, I would not have survived the things I have been through previously. My ego would have been obliterated. I would not be the person I am today if I had allowed my ego to be wrapped up in my need to be correct all of the time, or my inability to be like, my bad, because I have had to eat a lot of crow in the past. I've had to have a lot of moments of, eating my serving of humble pie. And I know I've told this story before, but when I was a roller derby referee, there would be refs, right? A lot of refs when I was reffing were men. I think there's a lot of men that do it in a very, woman and non-binary dominated sport. Men often end up officiating rather than playing. So as a woman referee, Gosh, I saw my fair dose of fragile masculinity. No hate to the men that I reffed with. But gosh, whether you are an NSO that's a non-skating official, or a skating official, or a coach, or a spectator, or a skater, when a ref makes a bad call and everybody knows it, and they double down on that call, immediately that person has lost respect and credibility, especially with the coaches and the skaters. The other officials are kind of like, that wasn't a good call, but they were too, I don't say too fragile. They had too much pride to own it. And the job as a roller derby referee is to facilitate the sport for the skaters. It's not about the officials, it's about the skaters and making sure that we facilitate a game. And so if we let our own egos get wrapped up in it, if we let our own need to be perceived as right or to not be questioned interfere with the ability for the skaters to have gameplay facilitated in a fair manner, then we aren't doing right by them. And so, I got a lot of criticism from some officials when I was reffing that I had too maternal of an attitude. I was too maternal with the skaters. Okay, well, I'm a mom of 4 kids, but one of my big things is just like, if I have a bad call, I need to own it. There is no shame in making a call and then another referee comes over and is like, I actually had a better angle from out here, right? I had a better angle and I feel like their hips were actually behind in that moment. And so it's not going to be a cut. And then me being like, oh, okay, I'm going to skate over to the box and I'm going to say blue 7-2. Actually, no cut. You can come back. We're going to erase this penalty. Because everybody makes calls, especially in derby when it's like very fast paced. Everybody makes calls in life. Everybody has opinions or makes decisions in life that need to have additional data points or that are just like a bad call because we're human. The problem is when you let your pride and your ego get wrapped up in it instead of just being like, whoa, my bad. Let's just try and fix this. The officials who could go to skaters and be like, you know what, I'm going to overturn this penalty. I'm so sorry. I done fucked up. I'm super sorry. Come on out of the box. Telling you, that earned the respect of the skaters like nothing else. Because when you try to double down on a bad call, everybody knows what you're doing. It's like a little game we're all playing. We all see what's going on. And their respect for you goes down like this, and your fragility increases. Like my sense of self-worth and my ego are not based on my need to be right 100% of the time. But I do think that there is this pressure in this space for people to double down on bad takes. Or also, on the other side of it, for people to want to try to cancel somebody if they have one bad take and they do double down on it. Sometimes people come from a different position. They have a different amount of baggage going into it, or they just can't own it. It's not that easy for them. Maybe they haven't had as much practice as I've had being like, oh yeah, that was bad. That was my bad. Maybe they don't have that practice. It gets much easier. The more you practice, the easier it gets. I just wish there was more grace in social media spaces for people to demonstrate that they're very human, and then also to understand other people are very human. I guess that's kind of like what I say when we're talking about dealing with law enforcement and like the outpour movement and interfacing between protesters and members of the military and members of law enforcement, is that the key is that we remember our humanity, we remember theirs, and then we show our humanity to them. We help them understand that we are all like, the more we lean into our humanity, the better things will go. That is the right path forward. I feel like that is needed in every space. When I get comments, I know people are extremely well-meaning, but when I get comments that are like, girl, you never miss. All of your takes are amazing. I'm always like, nope, don't appreciate that, but nope, that's not true. And I think that's totally fine. I have a number of mutuals that have done things where I've been like, I wouldn't have made those choices. I wouldn't have said those things. But also that was just a very human moment. And so okay, we don't need to cancel anybody over that. We don't need to excoriate them. And neither do they need to double down on it. They can just be like, okay, well, I didn't get that right. Or I'm going to change my mind now. And that's fine. Now, are there greater issues for which we need to seek recompense and we need to, focus on restorative justice? Yes, we're not talking about issues where people are harming each other, right? Like sometimes sorry is just insufficient. There's so many instances where I wish we could all be more human with each other. Instead of having the stakes be so high and have everything get so escalated so quickly, have such a high need for perfectionism when that just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist amongst any of us. I don't care what influencer you think is God's gift to whatever. Everybody's very human. I'm grateful for the people who let me be human in this space. And I guess I would just encourage us all to remember each other's humanity and how that is such a powerful thing for us to do, to be human with each other.